The college football season is coming back, and we got you covered on every game. We're breaking it down on each snap all season long. Catch us every week starting on August 4th. Joe McGuire, Sean Scanlon, Jace Garcia, and yours truly, Obi Muniz, giving you the highlights, predictions, and current rankings. Visit our website at hhwshow.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clover Crest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing. Counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Throwing Jabs, the number one combat sports podcast. I'm your host, Big J's, joined by Joe Guire and Jared Jones. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of UFC. We're recapping UFC 268. We also got a big fight night in the featherweight division with Holloway versus Rodriguez. But let's start things off in the boxing ring as Canelo Alvarez TKOs Caleb Plant in the 11th round. Joe, Column's gone, Caleb's gone. What's next for Canelo now?
Liam?
Let's look. Eddie Hearn in the past couple of days has talked about the possibility of Triple G. He's talked about Bivol as maybe Canelo moving up and going there. He mentioned John Ryder, who would more fall in line with what you'd expect out of Canelo going forward. If you don't know who John Ryder is, he's a top super middleweight contender. So it'll be interesting to see. Look, great fight for Canelo. Did what he does. He beat him about the body. 53 punches out of the 117 were body shots. He landed 40% of his power shots. Canelo Alvarez, I think it's safe to say, Jared, is a much better fighter than Caleb Plant. And basically everybody he's been fighting, I'm sure he's going John Ryder next, if I had to guess, because, again, that's the easiest fight of the ones I mentioned. I'm sure you've got some other people you'd like to see a match up with who he won't fight. Take it away.
Turbiev.
Yeah,
I'll never fight him. Not going to happen. John Ryder. It sounds like a really good mower.
It sure does.
I can't with this guy. Great job. I took the under 9.5. I wish it got it done around sooner. And does what he does to these guys. Good fighters, but I want to, I can't pound for pound number one, you're just not going to be on the top of the list with these kind of fights. You gotta fight somebody. Even Bivol, I'd watch, but if you're going to move up, why isn't it Beterbiev?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's no one that. Well, there are fights for him to make him get back to that pound for pound talks. But really, I mean, none of them are going to take him. To me, Canelo Alvarez is basically right now an active Conor McGregor. They're not really taking the fights that. I mean, he'll
He's
fight
better
anyone.
though. To be fair, he's better.
Yeah, he is because he's active. He's taking fights because he's the moneymaker. He gets to take whoever he wants. That doesn't. I mean, the belts and that stuff don't really necessarily matter to him. If they matter to him, he'd be fighting for that light heavyweight title with Beterbiev. If his legacy really mattered, that'd be that. He's just a name. He's picking off whoever he can that he knows he can beat or attempt to, and he's staying active. That's why he's better than Conor McGregor. He's staying active. Conor McGregor just picks these fights years at a time and just expects to come in and do what he does, just knock him out, which he can't do because he's not active. So to me, Canelo and Conor are on the same level just because of Canelo's activeness. He's ahead of him, but it's really like, what are these fights? I mean,
you can't fight anybody there. You can't fight anybody there. David Benavidez is the only one at super middleweight I would maybe want to see him fight. He moves up. You've got Beterbiev, Bivol. I'd watch Gilberto Ramirez to be a decent fight. Josh Botsy. I mean, move up and fight with Lyndon Arthur. There's plenty of guys up there. That 7-footer, Fan Long Meng.
Benavidez, by the way, was a name Hearn brought up, but then again, when he talked about staying at super middleweight, focused more in on John Ryder and less on
who?
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
messy.
Super middleweight is just not it for. He needs to go up. He can fight the Bivol, or he can fight Beterbiev, or he needs to go down and fight a Charlo or an Andrade. Like those are the fights to make, and he's just sitting here.
He is interested in fighting Charlo because he looks at Charlo as somebody he would beat up. I mean, again, Alvarez, everywhere Alvarez is looking, he's looking at fights. You know, it's funny. We're going to talk about him in a couple minutes, but, you know, Usman was talking about fighting him, and what he said was, I want something that will challenge me.
Dude, this guy is like, what are we talking about right now? Are we having this conversation? This guy lost a razor sharp to Billy Joe Saunders, who just got beat up by Canelo. He lost to Callum Smith, who got beat up by Canelo. Also has a close loss to Rocky Fielding. Jack Arnfeld also beat this guy. And Nick Blackwell, that banger Nick Blackwell. His marquee wins look like Jamie Cox, Patrick Nielsen, and Mike Guy.
So what you're saying
Ryder?
is,
why is his name even coming up?
So what you're saying is perfect next opponent.
I'm saying I don't understand
what I'm
why
hearing.
this guy's in the conversation.
I'm hearing this guy's perfect. Let's get this thing lined up for 6 months from today.
Garbage. He's coming up from 165. I'm not believing that we're having this conversation or that Hearn would try to sell us John Ryder. Oh no. Oh, please don't. Please don't. I will boycott Canelo publicly and not watch that fight if John Ryder's next. I will literally not watch that fight and tell other people not to watch that fight and start a Canelo boycott if John Ryder is the answer to this question.
By the way,
you got to be kidding me.
Chase, when the Ryder-Alvarez fight happens, you could just put me down for Alvarez, obviously.
I think we can put everyone down for that.
Put me down for it now.
You're not going to take Ryder, Chase?
No. Man, Chase will think about it.
If Ryder wins, I'll shave my head.
No, I mean, Canelo is – everyone's going to watch Canelo because it's Canelo. He's got that name. It doesn't matter. He could fight Frank Gore. And people would still tune in and watch that.
Stop giving him ideas.
That's the thing. I mean, that's partially, I guess. I don't know if it's necessarily a problem with boxing. or it's just he's just too much of a star. Like people tune in, he'll get a bunch of money from regardless. I mean, when you get to that level, when you get to he's reached the tops of where he's been, but like, where's that? I really question his motivation.
It's not just that level. It's fights in general.
Yeah.
It's fight. Here's the problem you have. Here's the biggest problem you have. Let's say you want to go viral. You're going to do something. You're going to go viral, but you're not going to be very good at it. You're going to do something. You're going to sell tickets, but you're not going to be very good at it. Your YouTube channel's going to go crazy, but the thing you're doing, you're not really good at. What are you doing?
You being a Paul brother? Is that what you?
Stunts is third. Yep. People will watch you do things that are reckless and try to injure yourself. That's absolutely correct. That's third on the list. Minute per minute, what are people watching? And to be fair, they're watching it more than the people are doing the things that they are talented at. Stunts is third. Number 2 is fighting. And there's a third amateur thing, that minute per minute's at the top of the list, that we're not going to talk about because we're live. But those are the things you're most likely doing if you're selling tickets to something you're not very good at. So the level of skill, because they're fights, and fights are inherently entertaining to human beings, the skill level is less important. I just don't understand why we're giving it to Paul brothers and Canelo Alvarez's, but we'll talk more about that later. Teaser for the flurry.
But before we move on, I mean, you really got to question Canelo's motivation here with these fights. Yeah, because I mean, do you actually want to be one of the best ever, or are you just going to keep doing this bull crap here? I mean, do you want to fight the people who would actually give you a challenge? And I mean, Triple G, I guess that was his peak. He's going to take that and live off that forever. No, you got to keep trying to better yourself, and that's not what Canelo's doing. I mean, the Kovalev fight, you can argue maybe that, but no, Kovalev was. I mean, it was old. That was a Mayweather-esque picking your opponent. So, you got to question the motivation, you got to question the drive, and you got to question if he actually wants to be great. Because right now, with the Calebs, the Columns, the Liams, the whoever, all these fights, the John Ryder, that's not going to cement your legacy in this sport. That's just going to, anything, take away.
I think if you're following the Mayweather model, then you're doing it perfectly and you're great. And so he's doing it, and Tank Davis wants to do it, and all of those. The only guy that's not doing it, by the way, my brother and I were talking about this the other day, mad respect to Teofimo Lopez, who wants to fight. He wants to do what Loma did. He wants to fight champions, and he wants to be great. And he's got a chance, if his father could keep his mouth shut for 5 minutes, to be great. But yeah, no, Canelo Alvarez already thinks he's great at 31 years old, and I think he doesn't think he needs to do anything more. And by the way, Triple G turns 40 in April, so if this thing's going to happen, it's going to happen sooner than later. But again, I'm going to put the money on John Ryder's the next fight here.
I gotta say that I talk about this all the time, how the motivation for them, there's a certain level of crazy to wanting to be great in boxing nowadays. It used to be the highest skill level. It was the most paid, and now it's the most followers and the most likes and the most media attention that's going to get you the highest paid. So the motivation has to just be within yourself to want to be the greatest. And to be fair, I want to know whose butt I could kick and who could kick my butt. And that'll filter you out of you in your late 20s for most people. There comes a point in your life where that goes away a little bit. And I think we're seeing that. Fighters hit a time where they start having families and having more to be concerned about and looking at their finances and their health and doing the safe things that make the most sense for them. It's frustrating as boxing fans, but if you stand in their shoes, it's hard to say, I would want to fight the best guys until I lost. And then possibly mess up my finances in the fights after that.
Terrence Crawford, while eating a large bowl of spaghetti, talked about how much he admired Alvarez and the fact Alvarez can get whatever fight he wants, and sort of was imagining a scenario as he carved it up. So I don't know. That might be fun. Again, there's guys out there like Terrence Crawford who are begging the top guys in their division for fights, and they don't want any part of them. And then you got Canelo traveling across the world to find bums, that he can pass his quality opponents, and it's sad. And it seems like from the comments, it seems like people want the Triple G fight next. It would be great. I think he beats Triple G, who's going to be 40. Yeah. Why not take the fight now?
I don't like it. Benavidez and then move up.
That's what he should do. That's what a real man would do. I don't know that that guy exists anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Canelo Alvarez. I hope nobody takes this as me trashing the guy. I mean, he feels like at 31 he's earned it, and he's going to coast for, I don't know, 8 more years until some of these young bucks move up in weight and knock him out.
He's walking down and destroying everybody he faces, and I want to know the guys that he can do that to. But Turbiev, you've got 2 guys that are like, I want to see that fight. I'm a fight fan, and I really, really want to see that fight to see what would happen. I think Canelo beats Benavidez, and I think he beats Triple G, and I think John Ryder. I don't think about John Ryder.
No, but this is the thing with Canelo. I mean,
until the week of the fight, don't waste your time.
If you're going to do this,
I hope he misses weight by 38 pounds. Comes in at 210.
Eventually, there is going to be a drop off for Canelo. Eventually, Father Time gets to you. So if you're going to go out like this and say, I mean, who's not to say he doesn't have that drop off against John Ryder? Who knows? Maybe John Ryder comes in and maybe he shocks the world. But the thing is if you're going to have that moment where you fall off, why not fall off against someone like a Beterbiev? Why not have that? Why not go out on your back, on your shield in an actual fight, rather than being having another Buster Douglas type situation or Andy Ruiz type situation?
Yes, while you were talking, you just reminded me of Tyson, how at the end he tried to get guys that were on that level, but he could still be and couldn't find them. And, if I can't beat Kevin McBride, I don't belong in the sport anymore. He was right. He was trying to find the right guy, and you're right. Taking losses like that destroy your legacy.
Yeah.
Take your losses to Holyfield, take your losses to Lennox Lewis, and then ride off into the sunset. Yeah, because you're right. He's going to keep doing this, and sooner or later, a tough John Ryder is going to come along and ready. It won't be John Ryder.
No,
won't be John Ryder.
It'll be Joe Schmo from.
It'll be Caleb.
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 There you go. That's the guy.
Oh, all right. Struggling to have the top fighters fight in boxing, but we don't have that problem in the UFC. We had 2 great title fights last weekend. Let's start off with the females. Rose Namajunas takes a split decision against Zhang Weili. Joe, what'd you think of this great fight?
All right, now let's just go back to my original thought was Rose by decision, and then I got a little nervous after I did the tail of the tape, and I was concerned about Weili's weight or her strength rather, and then we found out the day of the show that only that she had that bad haircut, there was a bad weight cut. All the excuses, and so I said 3-2 Rose. Now, here's the thing. I've been evaluating Rose a little bit more over the last couple of days because again, when we get to Usman in a minute, it's going to be a very familiar refrain on this show where we talk about elite fighters always are going to be even that number 2 guy. And I'm starting to wonder if Rose isn't at that level now. I mean, she's basically gone back and beaten everybody who's beaten her. Took both of these from Wiley, from Jędrzejczyk. Got a revenge on Andrade.
You know what makes this story beautiful? I'm back to scrubs again, guys. My bad. I know I circle back with just about everything, but what makes this beautiful is the Ultimate Fighter. It's that we watched Rose. It's hard to say that, Joe, because it's not somebody who just came out of nowhere and everything we saw after that was spectacular. Manny Pacquiao. This is somebody who we saw not spectacular. We saw scrape for it and fight for it and beat somebody in Wiley that I thought was that next person you're talking about until Rose knocked her out. And then you see this fight. I mean, yes is the answer. Rose is elite. She's an elite fighter. And the thing that makes this story special is that we got to see the come up. We got to watch her in ways that we haven't got to watch a lot of other fighters develop. Yeah. And that makes it entertaining. I think it's why she has a lot of the fans she does.
Yeah. And I mean, I said it last week. It was one freak slam away from Rose being in the conversation for an elite. I mean, she is elite. The only real problem I have with her is she eats up those leg kicks. But the thing is that she spars with Pat Barry, so she's eating leg kicks from a former UFC heavyweight. So she can take leg kicks from a strawweight. So I get it. I mean, yeah, I don't. The thing, I just don't know who in this division can necessarily beat Rose. Besides
Rodriguez, Mariana Rodriguez,
maybe.
That with the distance control, it's the best fight out there right now.
Yeah, it is.
Carla Esparza.
Esparza, she lost to before.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one
probably deserves the fight.
Yeah, again, she was the first strawweight champ ever, and she's been fighting well of late. And so, yeah, I look, either one of those are quality opponents. Those could be the next two. I don't care what order they're in.
Yeah, but I just think.
But she's got either way. She's got good matchups that are really going to challenge her, and I think that's great. And I know she loves that, and I'm looking forward to watching it. And I agree with what you said. I'm glad that you said that, Jared, because the more I've been watching her and the more I've been kind of breaking it down this week, the more I'm thinking to myself, God, I hate to throw that word out there. Is it fair to say she's become elite? And I didn't want to go there necessarily. And then, yeah.
She beat a girl I thought was twice.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes. And
yes.
Jace, she did it the way I like it. You got your first round quick knockout, and then I saw her kick her ass for 5 full rounds. I have no doubt. I mean, I like Weili. She's got a long way to go before she gets into a ring with Rose Namajunas again. Plain and simple. Yeah. That's never going to happen. They're not going to fight.
No. They're not. It would be a great fight. It would make a lot of money.
Rose too small.
Yeah. You're talking about someone who was fighting at 35, fighting a strawweight. I mean, let's be real here. Yeah, I think that's wild. Yeah.
It had to be said. It had to be said.
Yeah. But all right.
She went like full Britney. You know what I mean? That's not what you want in a fighter. That's not a good thing.
I think that was part of the weight cut.
Oh yeah.
A little more off the top.
Shaves like a tenth of a pound off. All right.
God, I gotta.
Oh my God.
All right. So now let's move on from someone who is in the conversation for elite to someone who is elite and number one pound for pound still. as Kamaru Usman beats Colby Covington. Unanimous decision. I mean, Usman's just the best of the best, Joe.
Yeah. Well, again, this was exactly what I said was going to happen, 3-2. And Jared, I think they could fight this thing 10 more times. I think the best Colby Covington's going to do is lose 3-2. I think Colby Covington fought great, wobbled the champ a bunch. The 2 knockdowns obviously made a big difference. I've heard people say, well, if it wasn't for the 2 knockdowns, but they happened, so stop it. And they'll happen the next time they fight, and it would happen in the next 10 fights, because that's how good Usman is. And that's not to take anything away from Covington. Covington will probably beat most of the rest of the guys in the top 10 and beyond any day of the week. This is just a guy who's a buzzsaw. We've seen it twice. You know what I mean? You could see the difference now from 1 to 2. It's too wide. It's too wide for Covington. Covington could fight his best fight. He would need Usman. I don't know. I don't know. Usman maybe comes in like Conor with a broken leg or whatever.
What do you do next if you're
gets
Usman?
Food. What do you do? What's that?
What do you do next if you're Usman? I don't think you can move up. No. I mean, who just did that? We just saw that. Adesanya.
Yeah.
We just saw an elite fighter, one of the greatest technicians of the game right now, move up and lose to just a kind of bigger guy is what he had going for him. I think that could happen to Usman. It's not worth the struggle. Guys, when they move around weight classes, put themselves at danger. Chad Dawson, Andre Ward, it's just usually not a good idea.
There are some. I think there are some. I mean, I think Chimaev, and maybe you need Chimaev to fight a couple more fights before you get him to Usman. But it's not like there. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not guys that he can beat up. I'm sure he could go take on Gilbert Burns again. I'd be all right with that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just double dipping now. It's just double dipping for Usman.
He said if Adesanya and Holloway, if Holloway wins, that he would fight for the title, but he won't fight Izzy. Much like with Rose and Valentina, they won't fight each other. So no one's moving up or down for that. But if it wasn't Izzy, Usman's interested.
There's only one guy in the weight class I think I'd like to see him fight, and it's a real styles make fights. I don't think you guys are gonna be on board with this one, but Bilal Muhammad.
I have his name written down. I had that name written down, and I was thinking the same thing. And the only reason I didn't bring it up is because, you know, Usman is also a world-class wrestler.
Yeah.
And wrestler versus wrestler, I don't know. I would still probably give the edge to Usman. But that'd be a good fight. I would love to watch it.
Of all of the names on that list,
absolutely.
If somebody can get it done, the wrestling kind of nullifies each other. They end up in a firefight, and Muhammad's a really strong puncher.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? But I don't see a lot of other names on that list where I feel like that about them that they could. So Bilal Muhammad, I don't like moving up. This is a tough situation for Usman because there's nobody left to fight and there's nowhere left to go.
No. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Joe. Chimaev's probably the next best bet. I mean, and I think he might be able to beat Usman. But I said it last time Usman fought. I'm going to say it again. The real fight to make for the UFC, that would be one of the greatest fights ever, Usman versus Khabib. One of the best takedown artists in all UFC in Khabib against one of the best takedown defenses in all UFC in Usman. It won't happen, but that would be a fantastic fight.
I totally agree with you 100%. And I want to congratulate you on making it through a whole show last week without talking about Khabib's comeback.
Hey, it's been a while. I mean, I'm only going to mention it with Usman because if there were going to be a comeback, that's got to be it. I mean, I'm glad that the GSP rumors are dead in the water, but this has to be if there is going to be someone to get Khabib out of his bed and come get ready for a fight, it's going to be Usman. Because I don't think anyone in the lightweight division will.
I think what people don't know is that Jace is about to set us up for a bit where we come up with completely fictitious fights. And so he's already got the Khabib and Usman and right George's St. Pierre's names already being bandied about. This is
Mighty
usually
Mouse
where I
versus Roadrunner.
There you go. This is where I start throwing out cartoon characters. But I'll tell you what, Jace. In this week's Who You Got, I'm actually down. I actually really like this one, and I put a lot of thought into it.
All right.
Just for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And well, we should also mention Leon Edwards because, I mean, granted, Masvidal pulled out. The last fight was crazy.
Muhammad was going to beat him.
Yeah.
Bilal Muhammad has won 5 straight, 9 of his last 10, and was going to beat Leon Edwards before he got poked in the eye.
Yeah, but I agree with that, but also I think Leon Edwards is also getting a little bit of the Usman treatment before he got the title shot. This man's been on a tear, and he's deserved the title shot for a while now. He does definitely need another fight before it with all the long layoff. And what happened last fight, but I mean that's a name that's probably going to be the next new guy. Ooh, I like that. Edwards Covington.
Yep.
I like that. I was very excited for the Edwards Masvidal fight, but sadly, Jorge Masvidal pulled out, so we're not going to get that. But you mentioned it, Joe. Who you got? Non-combat sports athletes fight. We do have Frank Gore versus Darren Williams on the undercard of Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, former NBA player fighting a former NFL player. So, Joe, what 2 non-combat sports athletes would you like to go head-to-head in the ring?
I've got a list of 5. If you don't mind.
How did I know?
I'm going to start off with my first love, and that's baseball. And so I want to see Pedro Martinez versus Gerald Williams, a guy he hit as a Yankee and as a Ray, a guy he brawled with on the diamond. Mostly when I say brawled, he hid. Bryce Harper versus Hunter Strickland. I always wish that Harper would have been able to throw his helmet at Strickland instead of somehow 45 feet to the left. That was silly. I'd love to see those two square up. How about Mac Jones versus Brian Burns? Y'all know about this? Mac Jones is accused of trying to turn Brian Burns' ankle. Let's square these two off. Let's duke it out, boys. Scrub style. Also, for that matter, let's get OBJ versus Baker Mayfield. And if you want to go old school, give me Robin Ventura versus Nolan Ryan 2.
Nice.
I love it. All those are great.
Nice.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to see Mac Jones in a boxing match, though. But they got the storylines there. All right, what you got, Jared?
I got 2. Danica Patrick versus Kerry Walsh.
Ooh.
Just because I want to watch them fight.
Yeah. All right. No explanation needed.
Enough said. And my second one, this is huge for me. I thought a lot about this. I want to show you something about fighting if I get to do this. I want to prove a point. And so my A-side fighter, LeBron Ramon James, 6'9", 255, LeBron James. And the B-side fighter, the guy that will win the fight, at 6'6", 262, one of the toughest guys ever to play in the NFL, a name some people might not even recognize, but did it forever. Played with a broken jaw, played with a lacerated spleen. He couldn't talk. He had his face wired shut. He was sipping his food through a straw, and Parcells walked up to him in the cafeteria and said, "The guys that are great, they play through stuff like this." And he finished his meal and played every other game of his career after that. Jason Witten versus LeBron James. And you're going to learn something about combat sports during that fight. You're welcome.
Oh, I like it. I had LeBron James in mind, but since you said it, I'll take it off. I had LeBron James against George Kittle. George Kittle's a wild dude. He's a dude who just he loves blocking. You know, when you're a tight end, you love blocking. He drives people back, screaming and laughing and yelling at them. So he's just wild. And since you took LeBron James, I'll have him in a brawl with another wild tight end in Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski versus George Kittle. Those two are it's going to be a phone booth fight in the middle of the ring. Just swinging haymakers. They're both going to be laughing because those are the type of guys that love the pain. So I think that's a fight to make. And they're both really good on the mic. I feel like they both would have some great trash talk in the build up to that fight as well, because they're both those type of guys. So
that'll be fun.
Yeah, I love all those fights. We can make a sick professional athlete fight card. But
Scraps.
Oh yeah, but all right. Yeah, that's gonna do it for the Who You Got. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back to preview the fight tonight. Stay tuned.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home service for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program, because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
That is Mosquito Shield. Make sure you check them out, and make sure you tell them Clovercrest Media and Throwing Jabs sent you, and they will give you a discount for their spring services. But now we got a big fight in the UFC featherweight division. And Joe will break that down for us.
UFC Fight Night Holloway versus Rodriguez is a bantamweight fight between number 1 contender Max Holloway and number 3 contender Yuri Rodriguez. It's UFC Fight Night 197. Let's break it down. Yair Rodriguez is 29 years old. He's 5'11" with a 71-inch reach and a record of 13-2 with 4 knockouts and 3 submissions. From Chihuahua, Mexico, he took an interest in martial arts at an early age. He began training in Taekwondo at the age of 5. He made his professional debut on October 10th, 2011, with a third-round decision just 4 days after his 19th birthday. He won his next 2 by submission before suffering his first loss when he was knocked out in 1 round by Roberto Herrera. He bounced back with 2 first-round finishes before getting selected to appear on The Ultimate Fighter Latin America, where he defeated both of his opponents by stoppage. He made his official UFC debut on November 15th, 2014, scoring a unanimous decision over Leonardo Morales to win the Ultimate Fighter finale. He followed that up with decisions over Charles Rosa and Dan Hooker and an impressive flying head kick knockout of Andre Filinto to earn his first headliner, which he won by split decision over Alex Caceres. 5 months later, he stopped UFC legend BJ Penn, dropping him with a head kick and finishing him with ground and pound. However, his momentum ground to a halt when he was soundly defeated by future Hall of Famer Frankie Edgar, taking a terrible beating before the doctor stopped the contest due to the swelling of his left eye. After a year-long hiatus, he returned in November of 2018, stepping in on short notice to take on Chen Sung Jung in a savage back-and-forth battle that saw him score one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history when he dropped a Korean zombie with a reverse elbow with just 1 second left on the clock. On September 21st, 2019, he faced Jeremy Stephens with the bout being ruled a no contest when he accidentally poked Stephens in the eye just 15 seconds into the fight, rendering him unable to continue. The pair rematched the following month, with Rodriguez winning the close, hotly contested match 29-28 in a bout that earned them both the Fight of the Night award. A rangy technical kickboxer, Rodriguez is one of the most fluid fighters in the game, effortlessly switching stances while using leg kicks to maintain distance and employs some of the most dynamic, creative, and unpredictable strikes in the sport. Max Holloway is 29 years old. He's 5'11" with a 69-inch reach and a record of 22-6 with 10 knockouts and 2 submissions. From Waianae, Hawaii, Holloway came from a broken home which was plagued with drug abuse and took up kickboxing at the age of 15. He graduated from high school in 2010 and made his MMA debut 3 months later with a unanimous decision and won his next 3 fights before becoming the youngest fighter on the UFC roster when he took on Dustin Poirier, losing via triangle armbar in the first round. He then won his next 3 before dropping a controversial split decision to Dennis Bermudez in 2013, with all 11 media outlets scoring the fight for him, and 3 months later lost a unanimous decision to future superstar Conor McGregor. He bounced back the following year, winning all 4 fights by stoppage, and after defeating UFC mainstay Cub Swanson via guillotine choke, he beat the future lightweight champion Charles Oliveira by first-round TKO when the Brazilian suffered a rare micro-tear in his esophagus while defending a takedown. He followed those victories up with dominant wins over Jeremy Stephens and Ricardo Lamas to put himself in line to fight Anthony Pettis for the interim featherweight title, which he won in the 3rd round with a body kick followed by 16 unanswered punches. On June 3rd, 2017, he unified the featherweight title when he defeated the great Jose Aldo by stoppage, and 6 months later repeated the feat when he stopped Aldo again in the 3rd round with vicious ground and pound. After a prolonged layoff to injuries and weight cut issues, he returned December 8th, 2018, facing fast-rising prospect Brian Ortega, putting on a brilliant display of boxing skills and stopping the Californian in the 4th round after giving him a hellacious beating, which saw Max break the record for strikes landed in a single round as well as a single fight. The following year, he moved up to lightweight to challenge interim champion Dustin Poirier, losing the back-and-forth fight by decision, but 3 months later returned to featherweight, successfully defending his title with a decision over Frankie Edgar. In his 4th title defense, his reign finally came to an end when he was defeated by Alexander Volkanovski, who uses leg kicks to nullify his offense, and 7 months later dropped the second, closer, and more controversial decision in the rematch. On January 16, 2021, he took on number 5 contender Calvin Kattar, putting on an absolute masterclass, dominating all 5 rounds, taunting his adversary as he effortlessly dodged his punches and shattered his own record for strikes landed and thrown in a single round and in a fight. Possibly the greatest striker in MMA history, Holloway has an unparalleled ability to create and attack from different angles, using his unsurpassed feint game to throw off his opponent's timing and then drown them with volume, landing at a rate of 7.2 strikes per minute. He also possesses an 84% takedown defense and has never been knocked off his feet. Will the dynamic striking and unpredictable style of Rodriguez be able to frustrate Holloway as he continues his ascent to the top? Or will the experience, superior boxing skills, and high work rate of Holloway be too much for El Pantera as Blessed continues to build on his legacy as one of the greatest featherweights of all time? Tune in Saturday night to UFC Fight Night 197, Holloway versus Rodriguez. Let's find out. I got chills watching that, man. Oh, I produced that, and I got chills watching it again. Max Holloway's going to win this fight, plain and simple.
Does anybody else on the shows do the Brady Bunch stuff?
We don't do it enough.
No, we should do that more. Holloway, all day. Go ahead, Joe. My bad.
Yeah, no, look, Rodriguez is a really good fighter. A highlight reel. But again, for me, I think the separation between Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski is like razor thin. I just think Volkanovski is just a little better. But I think Max is one of the best that's ever done this. And as much as I like Yair Rodriguez, this is kind of a Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier situation. here's a guy who's kind of been out for a long while, and all Max Holloway's done is beat the bejesus or been in these battles, 5 straight fights that have gone the distance against 5 of the biggest names in the sport. I think Rodriguez not only has to deal with rust, I think some cardio issues could be a problem here coming back for a 5-rounder against a guy who's going to beat the crap out of your face and is one of the greatest strikers of all time. Holloway wins this by decision 4-1.
I'm with you, Joe. Yeah, I'm with you all the way there. But you can't go against Holloway here. This guy's phenomenal, and I think a better comparison is the fight we just covered, Usman and Covington, where you said Covington will likely beat everybody else in that division. Holloway will beat everybody else in this division.
Yep.
Most nights. Tonight is one of those nights. Yeah, take Holloway. He's a minus 750. So
I read earlier today, somebody suggested if you want to make some money on Holloway that you take the points or total points. Is that
over.
A thing?
Take the over.
What do you know what it is?
Points?
Yeah, it's a total points or total
3.5.
something.
That's
rounds, right? 3.5.
Yeah,
3.5 rounds, yeah.
Is there anything else you could bet on? Can you bet on strikes, total strikes?
Oh, they have all kinds of stuff.
No, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like method, all that stuff, rounds. But you guys are all high on Holloway. I'm gonna go Rodriguez. I do.
Point spread's 5.5. I don't really understand that.
That is
5.5 points. Oh, it's all the judges combined.
Okay.
5.5 points, minus 5.5. It's at minus 400, so 40 wins you 10 at minus 5.5 points.
That's weird.
Does that mean it has to go to decision? Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And still minus 400? No. You don't do that.
I'm gonna pick Rodriguez because Joe, you said he might have cardio issues after the long layoff. He had a long layoff against the Korean Zombie, and he was still able.
He was losing that fight, and he threw a lucky elbow in the closing second.
Yeah,
I didn't say the closing seconds. I said the closing second.
By points is a coin toss. Got it. Okay, so Holloway by points minus 105. Oh. So it's basically a coin toss for Holloway by decision.
Right, that's a better way to bet on Holloway.
That's a much better way to bet.
Okay.
You don't want minus 400 or minus 750. No. You don't want to
You're not getting anything
unless
for that.
Unless you're stacking 2 or 3 of them, 5 of them.
I'm super into this gambling thing now, by the way. It's not a problem yet, per se.
Yeah, per se.
Hey. Depends on who's asking.
Oh, man, and there's just a way to There's just a way to play the numbers to stack favorites and stack underdogs. It took me a while it took me 2 years to iron out, but I'm sure that when you just look at the numbers, take the teams, the names, everything else away, there's a certain way just to bet the numbers. And I've actually got a little microcosm of that coming up. Another teaser.
Jace, there's got to be more penalties for you taking the obvious underdog who has a fighting chance. He does this a lot.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like Rodriguez absolutely can't win this fight. No. I wouldn't say that. I do think Holloway definitely is going to win this fight. I do think there is a Rodriguez. He has more than a sporting chance here. Better than, say, Ortega versus Volkanovski.
Right? It's like my oldest sister, the Redskin. The Washington football team. It's like we're all growing up. There's 3 kids, 11 months between me and my twin sister and our older sister. So for a month every year, we're all the same age. But you're the Julie of the group, Jake. You're the one that no matter what, no matter what the sport is, you're going to come in and root for everybody likes that guy. Well, just in case.
Hey, I've been hot the past 2 weeks. Glover.
Teixeira was.
And last week I said Hammer, Namajunas. Namajunas was great. My parlay also hit last week as well. But this, I think.
It's one of the first weeks you outpicked me, brother.
But no, I honestly do think Holloway's getting up there in age, and he's a big guy. So I do think eventually this 145 it's going to start taking a toll on him.
Maybe this is his John Ryder.
Maybe he has to move up to. I think eventually he's going to have to move up to lightweight. I think Rodriguez. He hasn't really shown ring rust. I mean, like I mentioned, the Korean Zombie fight. I do think Holloway will dominate the first couple rounds, but I think Rodriguez gets in there. And to be honest, I don't think Holloway's ever faced a striker like Rodriguez.
He has. His name was Alexander Volkanovski. Now, all
Calvin
that aside,
is a boxer too.
How much of Rodriguez being from Mexico plays into this pick?
A lot.
All right.
But he's all, I mean, also.
Finally got to the bottom of it.
Fine.
Rodriguez is a dynamic striker. There is not someone. Volkanovski does not strike like Rodriguez. It's very unorthodox. That Taekwondo background. Mm-hmm. He's never faced someone who has the kicking power that Rodriguez has. So I think Rodriguez lands something in, like, we'll say, the fourth, maybe even fifth, another walk-off Korean Zombie-esque with knockout here. I
took Taekwondo till I was 12. It's honestly, if
I was a third-string punter in high school. You gotta use that thing between your ears.
I just don't think. I think Rodriguez is going to set the distance with his legs, and Holloway's going to have a hard time getting in on that. So.
But stop him. Stop him, Jace. Volkanovski didn't stop him twice. Frankie Edgar, Dustin Poirier, Brian Ortega. Like, this is the guy. Yeah. This is the guy that's going to stop him. Pettis, Aldo. Like, these aren't. Nobody's done that yet. I mean.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier submitted him in 2012. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, but like I mentioned,
this is the guy.
Has a tough
none of those guys. This guy.
Yes, because none of those guys throw their feet like Rodriguez. And it kicks hurt. That's a baseball bat to the face. And I think Rodriguez is going to land a couple of those. And Holloway, I think
I'm going to change my pick now to Holloway with a second-round knockout. Jace is pissing me off.
Hey, no, I think Holloway does. I think the weight cut is eventually going to get to him. And he's got to. Hey, just remember a couple weeks ago, y'all were laughing in my face. And I was right.
If it happens, I'll shake my head.
All right, okay. Hey, I think it's regardless of the outcome, whoever's going to win, it's going to be a great, great fight.
I'll take it.
Yeah. But I mean that's how dangerous Rodriguez is. Any given second, he can turn your lights out. Any given second of any given fight, he can turn your lights out.
Especially if it's the last second in a fight where he's losing so badly, he couldn't throw a punch. All he could do was bend over and throw his elbow into the air, which happened to catch Zombie's face. That's it. That wasn't great. Although I will say, let me admit one thing, if I could. The first time I saw that elbow, I thought, what the hell just happened? I thought somebody shot Zombie with a gun from 150 yards out. And then I saw the angle, and I thought, oh, did this guy, just bend over and Zombie ran into his elbow? And the more I've watched the guy and the more I've studied the guy, I mean, it was definitely a perfectly thrown elbow. Very not quite Yuri Prohaska across Dominic Reyes' face, but it was a good one. I will give him that.
Yeah, but I do think regardless, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a battle. This is a fight of the year contender written all over it. And Rodriguez is going to win. But we'll talk about that next week. Well, all right, Jared.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. All right, Jared. Let's give us your puncher's chance.
If your total is $50, then that's what we're working with. But I like to say units just in case you're working with 50 grand or something. But we're putting 30 wins 10 on Terry Harper. And then we're putting 10 wins 12 on those top two, the over and Harper. And then we're putting 5 on the top 4 with Bent, Flint, the over and Harper. And then we're putting 5 on all of them. So it's 30 on the top one, 10 on the top 2, 5 on the top 4, and 5 on all 5. Gabriel Rosado is a huge upset pick here. Everything's covered. This is a good line. This is one of the puncher's chances that I'm really a fan of so far.
Yeah. All right. Much of a fan. You'll bet the house on it?
No. Never bet the house.
Never bet the house. But hey, bet responsibly. And maybe if you do bet the house on it, Jess Barr can help you find a new house.
So Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding. Becoming a real estate agent, being able to help people find their forever homes or their investment homes, starter homes. It's very exciting, so a lot of fun.
Now, you've gotten off to a really good start in your real estate career. What has been the most rewarding part of this for you so far?
Helping people, especially like first-time home buyers, finding their first home. They're so excited. I'm so excited to help them. So it's a nice, rewarding part.
What is it that you think makes you different than other real estate agents?
I think that my various roles in customer service has helped me. So I like to ask a lot of questions and I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that helps a lot because I'm not going to steer people the wrong way. I'm going to make sure they have knowledgeable decisions and help them find the right home.
Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I know these are words that you live by, but the mantra at CTBB really.
I apologize for that. But yeah, make sure you check out Jess Riddell. If you're looking for a new house, make sure you tell them Throwing Jab sent you. They'll help you out there. But now, I'm going to end the show like we always do. And Jared, hit us with that flurry.
A bit of a roundtable discussion, starting from the bottom. I always talk about how my work is, a lot of the school of thought is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you want to bring that, can you bring that picture up? Joe, what's your understanding of this chart?
My understanding of that chart is that at the bottom are your basic needs. Those are the things that everybody wants and needs. And for those things, you would potentially kill for them, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Well,
or put your life at risk, I said. And like there's no those are things that you need to survive and live.
You can't satisfy a higher tier until a lower tier is satisfied. Mm-hmm. So like you said, you would risk your life for that bottom tier stuff. You're willing to sacrifice safety and security for food, water, warmth, and rest. You know my cuddle the bear, safety and security. It's a bear. So unless you're hungry enough to try to eat the bear or cold enough to try to inhabit the bear, you wouldn't be chasing after a bear. You'll never get lonely enough to try to cuddle a bear. This is just human behavior and how your brain is built. So I knew for a long time, I'm going through my master's program, I'm getting ready to get my doctorate, and I'm looking at that third level, intimate relationships and friends, trust, that stuff. And thinking that's where they're telling me to start in my program, is by building trust with my patient. And I'm going, how, if you're not getting any of those things below that, am I able to get a client and build this trust and build this intimate relationship with them? There's no foundation for it, right? So at some point I realized that I can get down a level. Nobody wants to graduate from therapy either. So esteem needs are kind of off the chart. I'm relegated to that third step. We've talked about this before, right? So I realized that with scrub scraps, I'm able to give that esteem need, that feeling of accomplishment. And when you hold the pads for somebody else, your self-actualization, like really where you belong in the world and helping somebody else attain and achieve and be happy and successful. So I'm able to kind of give 2, 3, 4, and 5 safety and security. I always say the guy that you hire to protect you looks a lot different than the guy you hire to teach you how to protect yourself. So I'm giving, be your own bodyguard. So I'm giving safety and security. So for a long time in my life, I was stuck on that third step and going, okay, anybody who's up to this third step, anybody who has enough food, water, warmth, or has safety and security, I can help them because I'm really good with therapy and I've been through a lot of stuff and I could talk to them. And anybody that's okay with that third step, I can move on with. And then all of a sudden I found boxing training in that first step. Or that second step, safety and security, and realized I can provide on that second step. People that don't have that safety and security, I can provide that. And then the intimate relationship as a trainer becomes infinitely easier because we're not just talking, there's an activity attached to it. So I have all this extra reach as a boxing trainer. And you guys know this is something I think about all the time, but it struck me last week. What if we could touch that first floor? What if there was a way to have like a Scrub Scraps University or a Scrub Scraps headquarters where there was a shelter and a food pantry and clothes, and you could learn how to box there, and you could make friends, and you could have fights on a stage where you build this prestige and this feeling of accomplishment? What if there was just a place you could go with nothing that could provide you every basic human thing you would need possible to be happy and successful in your life? Now I want to ask you guys another question. What's the biggest problem with shelters? Give me a problem with food, with shelters for homeless and people who give away food.
It's not your place, so you're not 100% safe and comfortable there, or I don't know, secured. You don't feel. I mean, you need your own place. I think that's
if
important.
You don't have meals and I give you a meal, what have I effectively done?
You fed me.
Yeah. So for the ones that don't have the means, for the 10% that really fell on hard times, I'm helping to give them a meal. The other 90, though, what motivation do you have? If you go outside right now, you put a piece of bread in your front yard, birds will eat that bread. If you do that every day for a month, some of the same birds will come and eat that piece of bread. If you then stop doing it, some of those birds will die. The ones that don't adapt and adjust and find a new food source, they will die. Those people, you're taking away their motivation to go find a meal on their own. And the second biggest problem is that, and you can only understand this if you've sat on the other side of the table. There's no counselor or person who's always been warm at night who's going to be able to understand what it feels like to show up at a soup kitchen or show up at a homeless shelter and eat the scraps that weren't good enough for the people who paid for their food. And everything that wasn't good enough for you to eat would quite literally go to a pig farmer. It was going from underneath people to animals, and you were the in-between. Because everybody had to pitch in on you. You are a minus sign when it comes to society. You are a bum at a homeless shelter. So let me ask you a question. What happens inside the mind of a bum at a homeless shelter when you tell them they're a boxer at a training camp? When you tell them that the food that you're giving them is not just given away to them, but is to nourish their body because there's an event coming up that they're going to be the star of, that people will cheer for them. What if food, water, warmth, rest, safety, and security trust, intimate relationships, prestige, and self-actualization was all available under the same roof. I say, what if? But I got to tell you guys, this isn't a hypothetical question anymore. I've been talking to a guy that owns 6 buildings and runs a shelter. Stay tuned. I love you guys. Thank you.
That's great, man. And I mean, you talk about scraps getting to the 3rd level. It gets all the way to the top. I mean, we've talked a lot about people saying, like, did they quit smoking? I mean, that's getting to your full potential. They're putting all their effort into that. That is self-actualization. And scraps gives all this. And, I mean, you doing what you're doing and what you got planned, I mean, could give it even more. So, you're the man, Jared.
Plans are coming together. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. There are big things happening with scraps, guys.
Oh, yeah. Huge. Cogs are turning, my friend. But, all right. That's going to do it for Throwing Jabs today. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Thank you, Joe and Jared, for joining me. We got a great fight tonight in the UFC, so make sure you check it out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be electric. And make sure you tune in next week when I rub it in your faces because Yair Rodriguez won. But make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all social media platforms, Throwing Jabs and Throwing Gems podcast, as well as check out www.clovercrestmedia.com. And also make sure you check out Mosquito Shield CT. Tell them Throwing Jabs sent you. They'll give you a discount. And also make sure you check out Jess Radell Realtor and tell her that Throwing Jabs sent you. That'll help you out as well. So for myself, Big Jace, Joe Guire, Jared Jones, we'll see you next week for more Throwing Jabs. Take care, everyone.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clovercrest, top 3 corner man. Punching in with a puncher's chance, we find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut, got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing. Counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts. Cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.